I think we'll continue to see more and more of culture start to adopt Web3 tech, and Solana is likely going to be that chain. There is a developer go-to-market, and then there's this kind of cultural go-to-market. And Solana has done, I think, a very good job of maintaining a steady state with their developer go-to-market to make sure developers feel supported, have the right tooling, whatever they need. But in addition to that, them sort of exposing the ability for, I would say, in some cases, non-technical people that are involved in pop culture to utilize Solana for whatever the experiment is that they want to do is also just as important. It is not to say that other chains won't potentially go down this path. It's just today, this has been the recipe for success with Solana, which is one of the reasons I still think it's dramatically undervalued relative to something like Ethereum.
Joe McCann is the founder, CEO, and CIO of the hedge fund Asymmetric. According to data from Preen Research Services, the fund posted a 202% gain in the 12 months leading to March 31, 2024, marking the best performance by any hedge fund during that period. McCann and his team achieved this remarkable success by making significant investments in Dog With Hat, a viral Solana meme coin that has captivated the entire cryptocurrency space since its launch in November. While McCann remains exceedingly bullish on meme coins, predicting the sector will eventually reach a $1 trillion valuation, he is even more optimistic about Solana, which he believes will also hit the coveted $1 trillion market cap. In a pinned post on social media platform X, McCann noted that Solana, after going through several phases and narratives, has finally found its product market fit. He describes it as the chain for retail, which he believes sets it apart from other Layer 1 networks, including Ethereum. McCann recently discussed his bullish outlook on Solana with Real Vision founder and CEO Raoul, who shares his optimism for Solana in 2024 and beyond. Together, they outline their thesis on Solana's rise, detailing where they believe the network and its Layer 1 token are headed and why they see it as a lucrative investment for cryptocurrency investors. McCann and Powell also delved into Solana's innovative parallel processing architecture and its new third-party validator client, Fire Dancer, which has received widespread acclaim. Their discussion highlights the unique technological advancements of Solana and reinforces their confidence in its future growth and potential in the cryptocurrency market.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
When there is a kind of a leap in computer science or technology in general, there's a couple things that happen. Is first, the first kind of implementation of it is, holy shit, this is incredible. There's so much more I can do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we've seen this over and over and over again, this pattern in software and technology in general. And so one of the analogies we tend to use is like the BlackBerry. This was, arguably the first kind of smartphone, if you will, capture the majority of the market share at the time. And in order for you to get users to, no longer use their Crackberry, if you will, you need about a 10x improvement in user experience. And when I worked at this design agency called Frog Design, which is one of the top sort of design agencies, they do a lot of user research testing. And one of the things they identified was like, people don't shift away from things unless you have a 10x improvement in user experience. It's just a fact. Well, we had that moment with the iPhone. And the iPhone was arguably a 10x increase in improvement in user experience. And users like to be delighted with the applications and hardware and things that they're using. They want them to be fast. They want them to be fluid, et cetera, et cetera. So what does that have to do with Solana today? Well, if we take a look at Ethereum and you say this was a leap in computer science, Vitalik and the team deserve loads of credit for this, kind of defining smart contract programming or permissionless programming as a concept. That's a huge leap in technology. The current implementation of it is suboptimal. And my view has always been that when there's a set of developers, and this kind of goes back to my experience of understanding developer communities, developers can mostly be bucketed into two categories. You've got your academic engineers, and then you've got product engineers. And sometimes you'll have the hybrid unicorn of both. Well, the majority of the stuff that Ethereum has been focused on, and rightfully so, has been highly academic in nature. And in fact, if you even see what happened with the EigenLayer white paper that was recently launched, like it is right there in front of you. No one can understand what it means. And I think that a lot of the challenges that have been faced with the Ethereum community in terms of mass adoption is a physics problem. The way that the thing was actually designed was the first implementation, right? And now we have things like layer twos where they're kind of offloading execution to these other areas, and that's a whole other kind of ball of wax that we can get into. As it relates to Solana, from day one, they did not try to fork the EVM. They didn't try to fork Ethereum and just marginally improve it in a different way, like say Avalanche and these other ones have done. What they did is they started from first principles. They said, "Hey, we want to build a high throughput, fast blockchain. Period. End of story." How do you do that? Well, you probably don't need a single threaded state machine to do that. And this is also in alignment with the history of parallelization in compute, right? So the second that we added parallelization to CPUs and processors, guess what happened? The types of applications dramatically improved. You could have more than one application running on your Windows machine at a time, right? That's why we can have right now, while we're chatting, multiple applications running on our machines. This is not a foreign concept in computer science. Parallelization is very well documented and well implemented and understood. That's what Solana was doing. And so I thought to myself, if they're going to go down the path of parallelization, and they're also going to enable effectively, fractions of a penny in transaction cost, this broadens the spectrum of the types of applications that can be built with this underlying technology. And that has proven out to be true. You simply cannot have things like the Render Network or Helium Network or Drip House or any of these types of applications on another L1 today, because it's a physics problem. And so Solana for me not only has been this kind of almost obvious play of like, this is of course is what people are going to use behind the scenes, but they have also embraced culture in a way that I think a lot of other chains have not.
Solana's parallel processing architecture has been a focal point in industry discussions over the past year. Joe McKinn predicts that other blockchain networks are now adopting this model. In March, Starknet, an Ethereum Layer 2 network, announced plans to significantly enhance its transaction processing capacity by integrating parallelization. This technique enables the Solana network to process thousands of transactions per second with low latency and high throughput by allowing transactions to be executed simultaneously across different nodes. This model is more effective than the sequential processing used by traditional blockchain platforms, which often leads to bottlenecks and congestion. Raoul and Joe McKinn believe that this parallel processing model will make Solana particularly attractive to developers in DeFi, gaming, and enterprise solutions, all of which require low latency, high throughput, and scalability. During their interview, Powell and McKinn also discussed FireDancer, Solana's new validator client. Developed by Jump Crypto, FireDancer is expected to increase Solana's network throughput, resilience, and efficiency. Here are more clips from their interview, where they delve deeper into Solana's technological advancements and their implications for the future of blockchain technology.
For FireDancer, the importance here, I think, cannot be underscored enough. You have arguably the world's greatest, if not one of the greatest, high-frequency trading, market-making shops on Earth that not only has some of the best systems and distributed systems engineers on the planet, they have the best hardware engineers, right? So a lot of people don't understand Jump is a vertically integrated shop. They create FPGAs and which are very specific forms of hardware to enhance and improve the speed and performance of their trading. These guys are gigabrains, as they like to say, right? Incredibly talented engineers. And you should ask yourself, if Jump is applying this level of, intellectual horsepower to something like Solana, do you think they're doing that because they think it's not going to be around and making a difference as it relates to trading tokenized anything? What do? They make markets. Where do they make markets? Or how do they make money? On the spreads. Well, if they can not only build the fastest validator client to be running on Solana, and also then potentially have their own custom hardware for that, guess who's going to be the fastest, right? I mean, I'm speculating here, but it's not that hard to see
when you go
what Jump does.
When you go through some of the interviews, I can't remember the guy who was building it, the tech guy. He was an incredible guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think it's Kevin something. I'm drawing a blank on his name. And a handful of guys that are. He just said very clearly, he goes, look, our job is the speed of light. Because anybody who understands high-frequency trading understands that the shortest distance and the fattest cables gives the fastest speed of execution. It's as simple as that. And when
That's
Trump
right.
starts talking about that, you understand what they're trying to do, which is, okay, this is disruptive to the entire financial system because you can have high frequency trading, which you couldn't do in any other format. Now, we don't know yet what the latency is going to be and some of these elements that are going to be very important to this, but it's certainly within sight. And that changes everything because, as you said earlier on, the TAM of the financial market dwarfs everything else.
Exactly. Right. And look, I mean, one other thing to consider here is like in traditional finance, I remember when I was at Passport, I spoke with a quant in Stamford, Connecticut, and he was trying to kind of figure out crypto. Very smart guy, PhD, all that good stuff. And he said, yeah, so when you build your program, what's the exchange that you kind of co-locate in? And I'm like, well, there's N number of exchanges. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's not a speed of light problem. It's a distributed systems problem. And so the traditional kind of high frequency trading mindset or quant has to kind of invert their thinking as it relates to blockchains, particularly something like Solana or anything, because it's globally distributed. The speed of light could also depend on where the validator is that you're trying to execute the transaction with, right? So it's not just a speed of light problem, it's a distributed systems problem. And so I think by having something like FireDancer, number one, it's 1 million TPS is the kind of theoretical bound on commodity hardware. Just to be super clear, this is not super amped up boxes that this is going to be running on, right? This is commodity hardware. The other thing, though, and this is a key distinction, and it's very, very important. Ethereum actually has done a good job of this, is that we're expanding what we call the validator kind of diversity set of clients that are running. So right now, primarily, there's the Solana Labs validator client. And if there's a bug in that code, guess what? The network has reliability issues. Now, there's a new team called Anza, which has spun out of Solana Labs. They're working on their own validator client. And of course, you've got Jump. So when you start to have 3 different validator clients for Solana's network, you are reducing that kind of single point of failure in the network, because the odds of a, call it a P0 or supercritical bug to exist in all 3 code bases is possible, but highly unlikely.
Solana has experienced a remarkable surge over the past year, currently up by over 600%. Raoul predicts it could further increase by another 226% to 553%, depending on the progression of the bull market in the coming months. According to Pal, a renowned macro analyst and former Goldman Sachs executive, if Solana replicates what Ethereum did in the last cycle, it could climb 47x from its lows, potentially reaching around $500 before the cycle ends. However, Pal believes Solana could soar to around $1,000 per token if this is a bubble cycle. As of press time, Solana is trading at $153.42, a 7% increase in the past 24 hours. Raoul states that we are at a sweet spot in both the macro and crypto cycle, with the cryptocurrency market transitioning from spring to summer. Global liquidity is increasing, and the business cycle is expected to follow suit. Pal believes we are approaching altcoin season, during which he expects Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin and Solana to outperform Ethereum. Do you have any altcoins on your radar? Please share them, along with your thoughts on Pal and McCann's interview, in the comments section below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.